Welcome to HipMojo, Show 15. I'm your host, Ashkan Karbas-Rushan.
And I'm CT Moore.
And today we're going to talk about content creators. Are they actually potentially disruptors, or is content only intended to be disrupted? As well, we're going to talk about the potential shakeout in the online advertising market. Basically, is the online ad market about to go boom or bust? And then as always, we got lots of things to cover in Lightning Round.
All right. And before we get started, speaking of content creators, WatchMojo has been nominated alongside CBS and HBO. It's been nominated by Digiday. Why don't you tell us something about that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we're a bit shocked. We submitted WatchMojo.com for the best entertainment category, and we thought we might get some consideration. And then when I heard we were nominated, I was in a cab going to LAX, and I thought we would get nominated with other new media producers. But the fact that we're nominated, obviously, along with HBO and CBS is really cool. I sort of understand when people say now when they go, it's just nice to be nominated, but we obviously want to win. So we're signing some checks, bribing them, making sure it happens. I'm just kidding, no bribing.
You know what? You're nominated
right
alongside
there,
two huge names. I think that's pretty impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a testament to the team. I think it's very easy to say, let's do this, let's do that. The fact that the team can go out there and make it happen, they deserve all the credit. Let's get cracking.
Okay. So what do you think, Ash? Can content producers be disruptors, or is it always going to be tech companies that disrupt?
Well, I think if you're going to talk about content, you first have to break it up into a few different sort of branches. I think amongst content creators, I think traditional media companies who produce content have really high cost structures. So they, like the print industry and the music industry, are going to get disrupted. Their cost structures are out of whack, so that's going to make their businesses shrink. They might remain huge businesses, but I do think that they're going to face a lot of pressure. The notion of spending millions of dollars to produce a sitcom, I think that's going to become harder and harder to justify. Now that being said, amongst the sort of big companies, I don't necessarily think that the gatekeepers like the Comcast and the Verizons, basically those who aggregate the audiences and distribute the content, I think they're going to be just fine. Now they are not going to be seeing eye to eye with the Viacoms and the News Corps and the NBC Comcast, like the content owners, because Verizon and Comcast want to give more to end users. They want to take all that content, what used to be in theatrical, what used to be in home release, what used to be on TV. They're going to want to put all that to their users on every screen.
Well, their business model is access. They do TV,
Exactly.
They do the internet, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
But just to finish, I think the ones who first, before going on to who amongst content creators can disrupt, what do you think of that? Do you think that, is TV going to suffer, first of all, the same fate as radio? Radio, but mainly print and the music industry.
Well, TV in the sense of me sitting in front of something that's coming in through a piece of fiber optic, maybe. I think that kind of TV style of content will always be there. And even to that extent, it could still be delivered via fiber optic, but it'll be more through my internet connection than, a conventional cable connection. As much as their cost structures are out of whack, I think what's interesting is when it comes to producing kick-ass content, you're getting into something that's kick-ass creative, and at the end of the day, that is something that's really expensive to produce. It's a lot harder, and I haven't even heard of a web series eating into the audience of a traditional media series ever. One, because the web, you can watch it whenever you want, you're not competing for time slots, and two, content startups, they just don't have the capital. If you think think about what went into making the pilot of Boardwalk Empire. Right there, that would probably be enough to float a web series for 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think that's half of it. The other half is when Herman Cain wants to go and set the record straight, or when the Sandusky alleged perv wants to go and talk to Bob Costas. It's always still on television. That's the big audience hangout. That's what moves news stories and all that. I think it's great, but I actually think more and more that online media professionals, we need to get our head out of our butt and realize that TV's doing fine. TV ratings are, sure, maybe they're eroding a bit, but at the end of the day, they're producing a kind of programming that remains unparalleled online. And two, you still can't get news, you still can't get sports. Sure, CBS, props to them, despite competing with us in the category, but props to CBS for occasionally putting a sporting event at the same time on your tablet or whatever, but I think we're still quite a bit far off. Now, who I think can create some kind of disruption, to use that word, are actually the WatchMojos, the Revision 3s, the Machinimas, all of the new media producers that don't have a traditional business. Because at the end of the day, it did take newspapers a good decade before they felt the economic impact of audiences fleeing to the web. So I think just because right now you're still seeing TV cable and broadcast making more money than ever, I don't necessarily think it means that, okay, they're hedged, they're sheltered. I think you're going to see in like the next few years, already now you walk into an ad agency, yes, the big checks are being written for TV, but it is almost like a digital-first strategy in that everybody realizes that, okay, even if we do a TV ad, how do we get people on social media to, talk about it and all that? And I think there's going to come a moment where you think of Mary Meeker, former Morgan Stanley analyst, currently a VC with Kleiner Perkins, who says, at the end of the day, consumers spend about 30% of their time online, on tablets, on mobile, but marketers are only spending about 19% of their budgets. That's a $20 billion opportunity. For the Foxes, the Viacoms, the NBCs, they have no incentive to go after that because that's still a much smaller chunk than the $75 billion TV ad market and the $250 million overall, let's say, entertainment market, including DVDs and home, and theatrical releases. But to the WatchMojos of the world, we have no traditional business to defend. We are going to go after that $20 billion. And my last point is this, is the reality is, even if our top line revenues, the Machinimas, the Revision 3s, the WatchMojos, our category, even if our top lines remain small, there's always the growth aspect. So new media companies will always trade at a higher price to revenue multiple than old media. And that, I think, creates an opportunity. So I would say, to summarize, if you look at old, traditional companies, the gatekeeper, like the Comcast and the Verizons, are fine. In fact, they're going to want to push the envelope. The old school companies like Viacom and News Corp, they do face some challenges, but they're going to be fine. Where there is an opportunity are for the WatchMojos and the Revision 3s of the world, and that's exciting. Now, let me
This actually reminds me, a few weeks ago we were talking about whether marketers and advertisers should actually become content producers themselves. And if you think about it, the reason why television is still capturing the lion's share of, I guess, video or television advertising, however you want to frame it, is because the traditional media content creators, these guys pretty much curate. They curate audience and they curate creative. They pilot a lot of shows, they test a lot of things out, they run things, they drop them, they figure out what's working and what's going to capture that big audience. They're a safe bet. But if advertisers actually start getting smart and into the content game, kind of like Old Spice did, and if they can keep pumping out micro content, I think that they might be also in a position to disrupt, I guess, mainstream entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, we started talking about this because of the TechCrunch article I wrote, which touched on why VCs prefer to invest in technology. And we didn't really touch that at all, which is great. So we'll probably follow up with this next week, and we'll ask that question is, are VC venture capitalists ever going to embrace investing in content? And after, I wish the Ash of 2011 could go back in time to the Ash of 2006 and play this to him and say, even 5-6 years afterwards, VCs still are not embracing content. They're very rare. So we'll probably tackle that next week on a segment because that's something we didn't touch at all. We're going to take a short break. Yeah. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about, is the online ad market, the ad networks, the ad exchanges, the ad content creators, are we about to go through a period of boom or bust? We'll talk about that right after the break.